Right, so this is a sink. It can be created in one shape, but I'm actually going to break it down into uh, a number of different shapes. And let's see here. I'm going to create this shape to be different, the countertop to be completely different, and then I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves. All right. The first part of this is just getting the shape to look exactly right. This image, since it is at an angle, we can't get the top of it to look proportionally right, but we have the height of this particular countertop. So first thing I'm going to do is create a Polygon Cube, and I'll drag it from here, and I'll go to the left, and then I'll press spacebar to go into my perspective, and I'll drag it to the right. Okay, I know that this shape is thin because of the image. It shows me that the countertop is really thin, so I don't want to make that shape thick. Alright, next thing that I can do is use my Insert Edge Loop tool to create the top of the sink. If I hold Shift and I right mouse click and hold, alright, so let's try this again. Hold Shift, right mouse click and hold, I get this little menu that pops up, and there's my Insert Edge Loop tool. I'll go to the option box to make sure that the tool is set to reset, and it's set to the relative distance from edge. So I'll go ahead and click right there. Perfect. Now I'm going to right mouse click and hold, go to face. I'll select this object here. I'll press Control E, which is the shortcut to the extrude, and I'll drag it out like that. Okay, nice. All right. Now I'm going to select this countertop face. I'll highlight all of the faces that make up the top of my countertop, and I'll go to Edit Mesh, Extract. Right mouse click and hold, object mode on both of these objects. Modifies center pivot, so my center pivot's not all over the place. Okay, let's go back and look at my image. I know that the sink is closest to this edge. Alright, I think that this particular countertop is called a Waterfall Countertop. So I'm going to go under Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. I'll click here. So I'm using my reference image as a guide to the width of the sink. I'll put one here and one right there. Okay, now with this edge loop still selected, I'll just drag it closer to here. Alright, now I'm going to right mouse click and hold, go to face, select that face and the face underneath it, and actually what I'm going to do is press Control E to extrude this down. Alright, I'll select this face here, I'll press Control E, and I'll change the offset so that there's a little bit of an edge loop there. I'll press G to repeat the previous command, which was extrude, and I'll move it straight down. Alright, there we go. Now if I'm not happy with this shape, and you can see I'm always looking at the image, I can right mouse click and hold, go to Control Vertex or Vertices, press W, and then move this in. You see? So I think that looks about right.
It should be a little bit.
Right here, I'll move it. Okay. Alright, now there's another countertop on here, and I'm going to use the existing faces. So if I right mouse click and hold, go to face, I'm going to click 1, 2, 3 faces, okay? And now I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Duplicate. Alright, so these are my new faces. Okay? So Object Mode, I'll click on this. Click on Modify Center Pivot. I know that there's a little bit of a gap between the two. Okay, just a little bit of a gap. I'll press Control E and I'll move this up. Okay. Move it up a little bit more. And right mouse click and hold, Object Mode. I'll select the faces here. Press W, I'll move it out like that. Okay. And then I'll extrude. No, actually, I just need legs on here, and I'll be finished with that shape. So I'll go to Create, Polygon Cube. I'll look at this from the top view. Okay. And I can turn this object on. This is X-ray, so this allows me to see straight through my object. I'll turn wireframe unshaded on. I'll hold shift to create a perfect square. I'll hold D and V and I'll snap this right to the edge. Hold V and snap it right there. So now I have this leg. Alright, so I'll hold D and V, I'll snap this up. I'll hold V and snap it here. Go to face, like that face. Hold X and snap it straight down to the grid. Now I know that these two are on different heights, so if I hold V, it's going to snap to the height of that. Okay, now I'll press Control D and move this guy over here. Press F to frame in. I'll hold D and V so I can snap my manipulator point there. Hold V and there we go. So that's that shape. Okay, let me go to my front view and look at this image. And it looks as though it's like a two-tone. Like this is a wood shape, and I think this here is maybe like some sort of granite. So let's create that. Alright, so I'll select this face here. Actually this one, that one, this one. I'll select the top faces as well as the faces here on the side. Okay. I'll press Control E and I'll change the offset. Let's see here. Let's do that. Now, as I'm making it thicker, you could see that some of these edges are starting to not be aligned. So you could see it, like, especially here. And the way that I can fix that is simply by doing a different method. Let's see here. Actually, I'll just change the thickness. There we go. See? Alright. And now that we have the thickness, I'm going to select the outermost edges here. Alright, on both sides. And press Control E, which is to extrude, and I'm going to move it out that way. So now you can see just a little bit of this lip there. Object mode. Alright, now I think that this countertop should be a bit higher. So I'll go to my front view. I'll select those vertices, hold shift, select those vertices, press W, and I'll move them up like that. I could even select these vertices here those, and I'll move it out. And I can do this. Press W and move this down a little bit. Alright. Okay, so last but not least, we need to create the front of this particular shape and even the back side of this. So I'm going to take some pre-existing faces.
You missed something in there. There's actually a little thing that goes upwards on the table part. On the next one.
Here.
Right there.
Alright, so I'll select this piece of geometry here. I'll go to Insert Edge Loop. Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. I'll add an edge loop here and here. I'll select that face. I'll press Control E. Press W, and I'll move this like that. All the way out. I'll hold V and I'll snap it right here. Okay. I'll right mouse click, select the entire faces of this group, and I'll go to Edit Mesh, Extract. I'll select the vertices of this particular group, and I'm going to press W and I'll move them down. That. Now I know as soon as I move them down, there's an empty face right here. So if I press Control 1, we need to close that gap by simply going to Mesh Tools, Append a Polygon tool. I'll click on that green line, the vertical one, and that green vertical edge, and press Return. I'll press Y to repeat the previous command. I'll select this edge, and I'll right mouse click and select that edge, or left mouse click, press Return, and there we go. Now when I press Control 1, that's what I see. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is use our Insert Edge Loop tool. So I'm going to create 1, 2, 3 lines on here. I'll go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop Tool option box, multiple edge loops, and I'll change the number of edge loops to be a value of 3, and I'll click there. Here we go. So now I'm going to select these faces here, Edit Mesh Extract. I'll select those faces. Let's separate this. I'll press Control 1 face. I'll highlight these faces. Edit Mesh Extract. Object mode. I'll right mouse click, select faces. Edit Mesh Extract. And I'll select these guys. And this is already extracted. So now when I press Control 1, I have 4 separate pieces of our counter. I'll press Control 1. I'll press R. Let's go to Modify Center Pivot. And I'm going to scale it down like this. So now there's a little bit of a space between. So let me highlight all of these and look at it a little bit closer. And I'm going to scale it down. Let's do this way. Alright. Now I know that there is an opening here. So again, I'll go to Mesh Tools, Append a Polygon, click here and here, press Return. I'll press Control 1. I'll select the next cabinet drawer, Control 1. I'll look at the inside. Go to Mesh Tools, Append a Polygon, click here and here, press the Return key, and then I'll press Y, which is repeat previous command, click that edge, press Return. I'll press Control 1, I'll select this guy, Control 1 to isolate. Y is to repeat the previous command, which was the append to polygon. Alright, I'll press Y again. Left edge, right edge, press return, Control 1, and I'll select this edge, this last group, Control 1. I'll press Y, which is repeat previous command, and voila, Control 1. Now, the last thing I know that I need to do, of course, well, it's not necessarily the last thing, is to close this part of the geometry. So press Control 1. All right, and it looks like I have this edge here, which I'll use that face, but I'll just delete it, and I'll use the append to polygon to close this. Now I can select this edge here, Control E, press W, and move this out like that. Let me press Control 1 so I can see exactly how far I need to bring it out. I'll hold V to snap it here. Now I know that these normals are facing the wrong direction, so I'll click on that face. Edit Mesh, Extract. Go to Modify Center Pivot. I'll move this to the right. I'll press Control E. I'll move it to the left. And then let's go to Mesh Display Reverse. So there you go. Now I'm going to continue to close this off. So Mesh Tools, insert Edge Loop. Let's go to the Edge Loop Tools option box. Change that to relative distance from edge. Alright, there's our edge loop. I'll select this face. Control E. W, I'll hold V to snap it to that edge. Go back to our insert edge loop tool. I'll click here. Alright, mouse click and go to face. Select that face, Control E, W, and I will hold V to snap this here. And there's just the basic shape of that. Now, definitely want to add a faucet. We can use a few simple methods of using our EP curve and extruding this shape along the path. So let me go back to my front view, and I'm going to go to Create Curve Tools, EP Curve Tool, and I'll click here. I'll hold Shift and then press Return. I'll zoom in close. I'll press Y, which is the previous command. I'll hold C to snap it to the curve. I'll click here. 1, 2, 3. I'll press Return key. And then I'll press Y, which is repeat previous command. I'll hold C and snap it to the curve. I'll hold Shift. Press the Return key. I press Y, which is the create polygon, the curve. Hold C, snap it to that curve. 1, 2, 3, and maybe one more. I'll press the Return key, and I'm going to right mouse click and hold on that curve just to change the shape of it. Select these vertices, like control points, and scale them flat. Alright, so now that I have this curve shape, I want to connect these curves. Alright, so I'll select this curve, I'll hold Shift, and select all of the curves. I'll go to Curves, Attach Option Box. I'll click on connect and attach. Now I want to highlight that entire curve group. Go to Edit, Delete by Type, History, and I want to delete some of these individual curves in there. Alright, so I'll click on this guy, I'll hold Shift. Alright, perfect. Now, the next thing I want to do is hide this background image. I'll put that on a layer, hide it. So this is what we have. So I'll go to Create, Polygon Cylinder. I'll hold Shift to create the thickness. Press E, I'll hold J, and I'll rotate it like this. I'll press W, and I'll hold C to snap it to the curve. Right. There we go. Move it down. I'll right mouse click and hold, go to Face. Highlight the top faces. Deselect the bottom faces. So this is what I have. I'll hold Shift, select the curve, press Control E, and I'll increase the divisions, like so. And I noticed that there's some areas here where it's not moving the exact way I want it to. So I'll select this edge, double click, press W, I'll move it to the left. Double click this edge, I'll move that to the left. I'll double click here, hold Shift, double click here, and move these guys down. I don't think I need that many edge loops here, so I'll hold Shift, right mouse click and hold, and click on Delete Edge. And I'll move this guy down a little bit. Double click here, I'll move this down. So I'm trying to not have as many of these edge loops. I'll press E to rotate this guy. I'll press R, scale it up a little bit. I'll go to Vertex, I'll highlight all of these vertices. So I want to move them over to the right. There we go. Edge, double click this edge. And now when I press 3, it'll smooth out a little bit. I can look underneath the faucet. I'll go to Face, press 1, and I'll double click. Let's just do this. I'll highlight all of these, press Control to deselect. There are the faces. Press Control E. I'll change the offset. Press G to repeat the previous command. I'll move this up. There's the faucet. And now when we press 3, it smooths it out, but I'm going to use an Insert Edge Loop tool. So I'll go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and I'll add an edge loop, press 1, right there. And on the inside, one here and one there. Now when I press 3, you could see that it gives me like this harder edge right there. Looks a bit more clean. And I know that this edge here, when I press 1, they're kind of it's like penetrating through that. So again, I'll just select these guys, hold Shift, and I'm double clicking, and I'm moving these guys out like that. Okay. If you want to make that perfect, then you can scale this down like so. Press W, move it out like this. Alright, so it's going to take a little bit of work. So hold Shift, and I'll press W to move these guys down. Let me grab this one as well, move this down. Alright, so double click, hold Shift, this down, and I press 3. There we go. All right, so the bottom part of these, let's go to press 1. I'll go to control vertices. I'll move this guy up. I'll go to face, highlight that face, press control E. I'll press R to scale it wide. Press G, press W, and then move it down. So there's our little base. And then we go to object mode. Press E, I'll hold J, and I'll move this around. W, move it forward to the right. And I'll place this here. And so you do the same exact approach to that. Now the inside of your sink, you definitely want to select some of these edges here and bevel it. Alright, I would probably bevel all of the edges so that it has a nicer feel to it. So edit mesh, bevel, and now you can see that it's looks smoother. I'll increase the segments. Go to object mode, and there you go. So to polish this particular model, I would select these objects, edit mesh, bevel, increase the segments to say something like 3. Select this object, edit mesh, bevel, change the segments to 3. Same thing with this guy, edit mesh, keep going to bridge, bevel, change the segments to 3, and then I'll press G to repeat the previous command. So that's how create countertop. All right, and as I look at this, I feel like this needs to be a little bit wider. So I just go to all the control vertices and move this wider. Select both of the legs. And there we go. Alright, so that concludes this particular tutorial on creating the countertop.